everybody. Welcome back to The Real Rivalry. Imad and Anchit are back with another video to discuss the talking points from this weekend's Arsenal and Manchester United games. We will begin with another failure by Arsenal by drawing to Leeds. So, what do you make of this? How many weeks has it been since you guys scored a goal?
Yeah, it's almost 8 hours now in Premier
Right.
League football since we scored a goal from open play. Shocking. I mean, I don't know what to say anymore because we were all calling for Aubameyang to play down the middle. We got that, and it just didn't work out. I mean, again, I hate to say it, but Arteta, like, what is he doing with his team selection? I mean, why is Willian playing every single game when he's doing nothing to justify his place in the starting 11? Like, I mean, Arteta claims that he's doing whatever he's doing for footballing reasons, uh, and he's disciplining certain players like Ozil and Guendouzi, and I feel like the treatment just isn't the same for every single player. Like, what has Willian done since he's come to deserve a place in the starting lineup for every single game? I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I understand Saka was probably tired from international duty, but like the minute he came, I mean, firstly
He
Arteta took
changed
him
the
off
game.
he took him off on half time, so clearly that meant that he knew he had done something wrong by starting him. And
Right, right.
I mean, and I don't buy all this bullshit about like we were gonna, because honestly, at the end of the day, the whole Pepe red card is just gonna mask the fact that it was a shit performance,
Right.
zero
You guys were getting
creativity. I mean,
destroyed.
honestly, yeah, I mean, the red card in terms of what Arteta is going to say is going to work out perfectly for him, because now everything is just going to deflect from him onto the red card, and it's just going to deflect away from the fact that we didn't create any chances in that first half. I
Right,
mean, there was nothing going forward. There's a complete the midfield and the attack is completely disjointed, and it
right,
doesn't matter who he plays, what system he plays. It's clear right now that there's just no creativity in the team,
right.
and it's ridiculous. I mean, Joe Willock was playing in the number 10 position. I mean,
He was woeful,
are
honestly.
you
He was
seriously telling
woeful.
me that Joe Willock has more quality than Ozil in that position? Like, are you
Right.
actually going to tell me that? Like,
See,
I mean, it's
I don't want to get onto the Ozil thing so much, right? I know because, like, I know he said it was for footballing reasons, but like, I think we all know there's a bigger reason behind that. Like, it's not just footballing, right? So even without Ozil, though, my point is, let's compare Leeds, okay, to Arsenal. Arsenal have a much better squad than Leeds, right? You have more better creative players, you have a better striker, you have a much better team. But the way Leeds are set up by their manager, they're set up to attack. They aren't set up to sit back and soak pressure. Arteta seems to just set his team up to just defend. Like, you've got 11 men behind the ball. There's no attacking intent. There's no how are you coached to actually score goals and create goals. You're not. That's what it is, I think. So even if you put Ozil in there, I personally, maybe because of his individual quality, he may create some chances, but I think
I
you're set
mean,
up to
yeah,
defend.
right now it's all hypothetical, right? If you put Ozil in there, but at the end of the day, I was looking at some stats the other day, and from the start of last season, Ozil is still second for big chances created for Arsenal.
Hmm.
After, I think, and he's played half the games that like players like Ceballos and Aubameyang and all have played. So that just shows that it's just not worked out at all. His decision to leave Ozil out for footballing reasons has just not worked out.
Right.
It's completely backfired on him. And
Hmm.
I would love him to say now, I mean, he referenced footballing reasons for leaving him out. Well, now you need footballing reasons to bring him back in. So why would you
Hmm.
not reference that right now and say, I need to bring him back in for footballing reasons? I mean, when things backfire on you that badly, I mean, even like I said, like his whole thing with, I mean, I don't want to slate our back four because they did. I mean, honestly, I mean, everyone says they did okay, but at the end of the day, on any other day, we would have lost that game. Leeds hit
Yeah,
the
dude. Like,
woodwork four
they
times.
were right. They
Holding is
were.
an absolute mess. He's a championship level player at best.
Hmm.
I don't know what the fuck he's doing starting for the Arsenal.
Hmm.
Um, uh, and if and the fucked up thing is, if Holding gets injured, Mustafi comes in, and
Right, he's probably even worse.
Socrates has been left out of the squad. Now, what has Socrates done that's worse than what Mustafi or Holding have done? in his career at Arsenal that has warranted him to be left out. I mean, we don't even mention Socrates, but at the end of the day, Mustafi's playing ahead of him. If anything goes down at the back, Mustafi's playing ahead of him.
Right.
So what is this favoritism going on by Arteta? I don't understand it. Like, I mean, he's disciplining certain players, and like players like Willian, he's letting them put in garbage performances week in, week out. I mean, I don't care what's happening on the training ground. At the end of the day, like, your business is done on the pitch, and on the pitch, Willian is not delivering. And he's playing every single game. Holding has been terrible and he's looking like a liability, yet he seems to play every single game ahead of David Luiz when we still have players like Saliba coming through. Like, I just don't understand it. There's so many different players in different positions who are getting the nod ahead of other players who I just don't understand it. Like,
Right.
and
Right. Yeah.
and it's disgusting. I'm going to pull out a stat that I actually um, highlighted before this. Um, basically, uh, yeah, like I said, Ozil was the one who had created the most chances since 2 years ago, and Pepe is the one ahead of him, and Pepe is the one basically who got the red card against in the game last night, and this Pepe is going to be the scapegoat of it, of the whole thing. That's what I'm trying to say. And at the
Hmm.
like, but you can look at Pepe all you want, but at the end of the day, it's I feel like it needs to come from the manager. I mean, there's been no change in the way we've played from the first game of the season till now. There's like, and you want, I mean, that's what you want to see as a fan. You want to see a bit of progression, but in terms of attacking football, there's been zero progression, and it's just I don't see how we can move forward from here.
Do you think this is going to change moving forward though? Like, so my question to you is this: let's just say you did have Awa or whatever from Awar, I think it's his name is pronounced, from
Yeah.
Lyon, right? He looks a creative player. I know you guys were in for him. If you had him, obviously better players make the team better. But to me, it seems that it's more about the coach itself not playing attacking football versus the players you have. Surely this team can create more than it currently is creating, right? Surely they can score more goals than they're currently scoring if they were set up that way, but they're not. They're set up to defend with 11 men behind the ball. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what like I don't understand is because we have enough on paper. I mean, if you look at our team, I mean, you look at the stats and we're in the bottom five teams for chances created, for touches in the opposition box. Um, I mean, it's just hard to wrap your head around because we have. I mean, you shouldn't. I mean, in a lot of systems, you don't need that like that creative number 10 to necessarily make have that connect between your midfield three and your front three. I mean, if you have a good front three and you have a good midfield three, like a solid midfield three, not necessarily creative players. If you have a good front three, that should be enough
Hmm.
on paper to win you games and for you to score goals. I mean, look at Liverpool. I mean,
Look
look
at
at
Liverpool,
Henderson,
exactly.
Wijnaldum. I mean, none of them on paper are creative, technically brilliant players. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you shouldn't need that level of technicality in your midfield for you to be on the front foot, for you to be creating chances, for you to be pressing high. I mean, there just seems to be a lack of identity under Arteta in terms of the way we play and in terms of the way we attack. And I
Hmm.
mean, we defend as a unit, yeah, because players. The only thing we do well is we defend as a unit because I've seen apart from like last night when Pepe wasn't getting back to cover Bellerin. I mean, we get back as a unit and we
Hmm.
defend. I mean, it's very rare that you'll see us caught out of position. I mean, obviously, again, the Villa game is an exception, but it's very rare that you'll see a player scored out of position from like attacking positions. I mean, that doesn't really happen. I mean, that's something we used to associate with Arsenal all the time, but that just doesn't happen anymore. And that's amazing. But going forward, it's just disjointed. There's just
Right.
nothing going forward. It's dead.
It's like he's instilled this discipline and this fight, right? But it's all at the expense of your attack, right? Like any,
Yeah,
I think a
and
coach
that
can
doesn't
come
make
in.
any sense. It's like you go
Right.
through games just instructing your players don't concede, and we just goes through the game, and you just make sure you don't concede for 90 minutes. And if you nick a goal, brilliant, we win
Like
the
a
game. But
brilliant
if you,
moment
yeah,
of
I mean,
brilliance from
and that's
Bamiyang.
not Arsenal mentality. I mean, you don't go to away grounds where a team has just been promoted and let them have 60% of the ball in the first half. You just don't do
Right.
it. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean,
Right. No high
and
press whatsoever.
yeah,
There
I
was
mean, there
little
was a
high
high
press
press a few games ago. I mean, I don't know what's happened to that. I
to
mean,
that. Yeah,
even if there was a high press, it's just, even when we do and when we get the ball, they just don't know what to do with it. I mean, it's just I mean, you see. I mean, for that moment in the first half summed it up when Joe Willock had the ball, and sorry, Aubameyang had the ball. He got fouled, and the ball came to Joe Willock, and the referee immediately blew for a free kick because he knew that Joe Willock having the ball wasn't an advantage for Arsenal. So he's like, "Fuck this." He's like, "Just take the free kick."
right,
Honestly,
right.
he
Not
looked at
going to
Joe
do
Willock
anything
and
with
he's
it.
like, "This guy's not going to do anything." I mean, he's a
Yeah, bang average in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
Right. So do you see, so just to end this section, right, do you see Arteta being able to evolve his football and try to be more progressive? Because here's the problem you have. You have Wolves next, yeah, then you have Spurs away. So Wolves at home, Spurs away. Those are two tough games. I know you're defensively solid, so I don't think you're going to get thrashed in any of those games. But how do you see yourself winning games and picking up points without scoring goals? Because I don't.
I don't see us scoring goals right now. Honestly, I mean, I don't know what. I mean, I don't know how it's gotten like this because as an Arsenal fan, you never imagine things to get like this, and you
Right,
never imagine we'd be in this position where you're wondering how we're going to score goals because that was the only thing that we relied on to win games.
right, right.
So
Exactly.
you don't. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what the problem is, and
Right.
clearly him changing, shuffling the positions around, shuffling formations is not the issue. It's deeper than that right now.
Right, right. The style of play and stuff in general, right?
Yep.
So anyway, moving on from the Leeds Arsenal game to the Manchester United West Brom game, and honestly, United fans can't talk too much either because we're also truly absolutely woeful. I still think that we got very lucky against West Brom. They had a penalty that was overturned by VAR, and which on another day could have been a penalty. They hit the post as well once. And while we didn't concede many chances, we really didn't create much either. And like we had two gilt edge chances which Rashford and Martial missed. Both were created by Bruno Fernandes. So even for us at home now, we haven't scored from open play in like 4 or 5 hours now of football at home. And this is our first goal in 3 or 4 games at home, and it's just shambolic how poor we are at home. Like this is Old Trafford, where we used to just destroy teams, and scoring goals was never a problem, but now it is. And it's not about that the team lacks creativity or the players. You've got Paul Pogba, you've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got Van de Beek. That's a strong three solid creative players, right? You've got Martial, you've got Rashford, you've got, I know Cavani's 33, but still, he's still a veteran striker with a lot of experience. You've got Greenwood. There's more than enough players on this team to have smashed West Brom. They're going to get relegated. They're one of the worst teams. Yet we scraped past a lucky 1-0. It was just plain lucky. That's all that it was. And honestly, with Ollie, what I've seen in 2 years now, it's the same thing. We just sit back, we defend well, and we play counter-attacking football. The moment you have a team like West Brom come to Old Trafford that are going to sit back and won't give us space in behind, we don't know how to break them down. And I don't see this changing now. It's been 2 years and he hasn't been able to figure it out. So I just worry. Like I still trust United to go to a PSG or when RB Leipzig comes home, a team that really wants to play football. We're playing City in a few weeks' time. I feel we can probably beat City because Pep Guardiola's team is going to show up and leave all kinds of space in behind because they're going to attack us. And with the pace of Rashford, Martial, and Bruno Fernandes picking passes, I'm sure we'll get a couple of goals against them. But now the team needs to evolve past the counter-attacking team where counter-attacking style of play. It should evolve into an attacking team where we're putting away the likes of West Brom at home. But I don't see it happening. So while the last two results, Everton, we beat Everton 3-1. That was a good performance away. We did scrape a win against West Brom, as unhappy as a lot of fans are due to the style of football. But, now we need to evolve and we need to start
I
winning
mean,
games.
mate, trust me, if Arsenal were fucking getting a penalty a game right now, I wouldn't complain.
I mean, listen, it was a penalty, man. With today's rules, that's a handball. I know we seem to
I
get
know.
the
I mean, and we need it more than anyone. We fucking can't create shit without that. So
Right, right. So yeah, I really hope that Ollie can kick on from here and be more offensive. Like we're still playing two defensive midfielders every single match to protect our two slow centre backs. I watched Gabriel yesterday. I know it wasn't his best game, but I really wish we got him, man. Like I remember in one of our first podcasts, you were like, when I was saying, "Oh no, we weren't in for him," and all of that, and you were like, "You trust me, in a few weeks' time, you're gonna wish you had him," and I
Yeah,
really wish we
exactly.
did because he's quick. He seems like a leader. He would have been a good partner alongside either Lindelof or Maguire. But now we're playing two defensive midfielders to protect them, and which means you only play one attacking midfielder, that is, a one attack-minded midfielder in Bruno Fernandes, and then you have Pogba and Van de Beek on the bench. So,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't understand why these teams are finding this so hard to crack. Because I mean, if you look at the way other teams are executing this 4-3-3, it
right,
seems it works like clockwork. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, even on
one
paper,
defensive
they,
midfielder.
yeah, I mean, on paper, United and Arsenal both have the personnel to do a lot better than they're doing right now.
Right,
So
right,
you have to ask the question. I mean, do you think world class managers would would get more out of these players? I mean, you have to ask the
100%.
question. Like,
100% they would.
I mean, if you look at the way Ollie came into United, he's hardly had. I mean, he had managed Cardiff City, but
Right.
that's about it.
Molder.
Arteta, nothing. I mean, he had laid out a couple of cones for Pep, and
Right,
he had put in a couple of decent performances for the Arsenal when he donned the jersey, but that's about it. What
right,
else had
right,
he done?
exactly. No,
So I mean, you.
we have to, both of us, right? We don't have top managers. That's a fact. Nobody and from what we've seen, I know Ollie's gotten some big wins against big
I mean,
sides.
these guys both could become top managers. I'm not saying that,
Okay.
but they're right now they're not the finished article. I mean, and at the end of the day, like I feel like United and Arsenal are like two of the biggest clubs on the planet. So why should we be giving these managers time to to find their feet as
Right,
coaches and
right,
experiment with the success of our club, while other teams like Spurs and whatever Chelsea to some extent are making moves, and
right,
we're kind of still stuck in limbo when we need. I mean, we've been in limbo for so long since I mean, you guys since Fergie left, us a few years before Wenger left. So we don't have time to waste.
right. We don't.
Like a lot of like these optimists say that, like, give them time, but like you have to see some kind of progression in on the pitch for you to have that belief to say, okay, they deserve time. I mean, I'm not seeing anything. I'm seeing the same mistakes repeated every single week, and we're
Right,
complaining about the same things every week.
right,
And
exactly.
I mean, and I understand. I mean, your players aren't good enough, but I mean, there was a 2 week international break, and it looked like we had regressed 2 weeks the way we came out against Leeds. Like, I mean,
Right,
surely Arteta knew that we were lacking creativity, and he okay, whatever. He changed the formation to a four at the back. He put Auba through the middle. I mean, but where are your instructions to your players to press higher up the pitch, to move the ball quicker, to get closer to your teammates when they have the ball, to make
right.
those runs in behind? I mean, there's nothing. So
Right, right.
very hard
Fullbacks
to
aren't
see.
bombing on that much.
Yeah,
Fullbacks are, even for us, it's the same thing, man. Like we just play defensive football, and that comes from the coach. That's what it is. We don't have our fullbacks bombing forward. We don't park our centre backs on the halfway line. We'll stay behind. We won't go forward way too much because we're scared that they're going to counter attack us because we have slow centre backs, and that's coming from the manager, nobody else. We're playing a defensive team. Like our six players that we play are defensive. You have your four defenders. Obviously, you have to have at least that, right? But our fullbacks are defensive. You have two defensive midfielders. So that out of 11 players, you have one goalkeeper, and then you have six players. So that 7 out of 11 players are straight up completely defensive minded at home
yeah,
to West Brom. Even at Arsenal, right? You have literally like Willian. Yeah,
yeah,
he's
and that
hardworking.
completely that completely ruins the flow of your attack, because even your players, when they get the ball, all they're thinking about is, okay, let me get rid of it. Let me just get it to the attacking players and let them do their thing. My job is to defend.
Right,
Like
right,
back in the day, you had your defensive midfielders bombing forward to join the attack because you knew that you were the home team, you were the better team on paper. You had to get the win, and you're gonna take the risk and commit more men forward. And if you get caught out on the counter, you're gonna score another goal after that because you're the better
exactly.
team going forward. And we just don't have that mentality anymore. Like going forward, it's just small team mentality. I mean,
Right.
Arteta's I mean, he's just too negative at the moment. He really needs to just, ju- just. I mean, same with Ollie. I mean, I'm kind of lost for words now because I'm saying the same thing every single week. So
Right, right. I don't see it changing, but anyway, hopefully at least for us, we start to pick up some points, and I hope that we can, be playing
points
Istanbul
don't mean
tomorrow at
shit.
home. I mean, to us right now, points do mean shit.
I mean, I'm
But
in terms of Ollie, in terms of his long-term reign, etc.
right,
Like,
exactly. He's gonna
yeah,
have to evolve his mentality in the long run. Otherwise,
yeah.
it's not gonna change.
Because
But
honestly, we could have beaten Leeds, and it would have just papered over all the cracks.
yeah,
And
except Saka just finishes that chance.
yeah, exactly.
Right,
So
right. No, I agree. Anyway, let's hope for better performances this coming weekend. And thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll be back next weekend again with another review on the next weekend's fixtures. Anyway, have a good week, guys.
fuck off, Arsenal.
Bye.